And I just want to play you this clip now. This is Professor Betts, who believes there are two vectors compounding the likelihood of civil war in the UK. Can you play Civil War, Cam?
Are we essentially in the West talking about the issue of Islamism?
No. That is one half of the equation, in my view. There are two vectors. One is an interethnic conflict, which does have at its heart conflict with which we've been dealing as a society. So that's one vector. The second vector is more of the nature, I think, of a peasant revolt. I'm not using this, I don't use the term peasant revolt in a disparaging manner. What I'm talking about is a form of internal conflict that arises out of a feeling amongst the majority populace that they have been that the elite is changing the rules of the game in some way, which is seriously invidious of their potential well-being and against which they are reacting strongly. One is leading to a kind of Ulsterization, the other is leading to a kind of Balkanization. And they're both happening at the same time and interacting with each other and effectively driving each other.
Okay, so to, I suppose, to just summarize what you're saying, there were two very important aspects to why we're about to go into civil war. One potentially being the sort of multi-ethnicities and multicultural aspect. I think Islamism, I think it's fair to say Islamism is a huge part of that. And the other being the sort of elite post-national, as you say. So that's sort of moving beyond being in favor of, I mean, is that kind of feeling people have of we're just an airport now?
Yes.
And when you put those two together, the conditions for civil war make it quite likely that in the next few years it will happen.
Yes.
Well, there you are. There's the first bit, by the way. Our chat have gotten onto it. Even though it's a sketch, it does sum it up pretty well. That was a lot more serious. Professor Betts believes two vectors are compounding the likelihood of civil war in the UK. First is mass migration. Second is a peasant revolt, because the elitists are ignoring the populist majority. Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos, thanks for joining us once again. Do you agree with Professor Betts, and do you also agree with that clip?
Well, first of all, I would not use the term civil war. Civil war means members of the same race vying for power, and they vie for power with one another through violent means. So I do not believe that a civil war is the correct term to apply, but I certainly do believe that there is a distinct possibility that anarchy could ensue, because ordinary people in the United Kingdom are extremely angry and extremely frightened about the future, especially parents. In regard to the first clip, well, yes, it demonstrates entirely the attitude of the monarch to the people whom he rules, not governs, rules. Let me first of all say this. I wholeheartedly support the unity of the Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic people. Now, we must separate the monarchy from the Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic people, because they are not the same. The bloodlines of the monarchy are very different to the bloodlines of the Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic people. Furthermore, when a member of the royal family dies, what flag is on their coffin? The Union flag or the royal standard? The answer is the latter, the royal standard. Apart from Buckingham Palace, what flag flies from royal residences? It is the royal standard. Does Britain have a national anthem? I would argue it does not. Rather, It is an anthem for the monarch. Thus, where is Britain and the British people mentioned in the so-called British national anthem? Furthermore, politicians, civil servants, police officers, and members of the armed forces in Britain, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand do not swear an oath of allegiance to the Britain or Canada, or Australia, or New Zealand, or to the British people, the Canadians, the Australians, or the New Zealanders. Instead, they swear an oath of allegiance to the monarch. These are very important details which have been completely overlooked for many years. It is only now, since the pandemic, that people are starting to attach significance to them. And lastly, Elizabeth II and her son, now Charles III, are supposed to be the defenders of the faith, meaning the defenders of Christianity in the kingdom, Canada, Britain, Australia, and New Zealand. Never did Elizabeth II or Charles III express sadness at the decline of Christianity. They didn't even express frustration or regret at the decline of Christianity. Neither of those two individuals expressed sadness at the decline of British culture, which of course is the culture of Australia and New Zealand and Canada. So again, that is a very important detail which must be taken into consideration and explored.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And our chat at the moment is endorsing all that you're saying. The UK, you believe, is under tyrannical control, not endorsed mainstream media or the ruling class. I'm trying to think of compiling this question. Okay, how do we change it? Are we able to change it? Is it just inherent? It will never change. If we needed to change it, we wanted to change it. The people want to move to a different direction. Can we do it? Is it legally? Are we legally able to get rid of the monarchy?
There is another point which I should have made earlier. The monarch cannot be arrested for a crime. Even if the monarch openly commits a crime, he or she is above the law. Again, that is a very telling reality. In regard to the future of the monarchy, first and foremost, people in the kingdom, meaning the Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic world from Britain to Australia, must first of all understand the actual structure of power in the kingdom. They must understand that Parliament and a Prime Minister do not actually govern them. It is the monarch who rules them. Secondly, once people have ascertained that knowledge, they must then proceed to understand what the agenda is of the monarchy. And I should add at this time, Mike, that what I'm saying about the British monarchy applies to other monarchies in Europe as well. The monarchies of Europe are essentially one family. So when monarchies have fled various countries in Europe, such as when the Greek monarchy fled Greece in the late 1960s, they always come to Britain for safe haven, and they are put up at the expense of the British taxpayer. So I digress somewhat. So first of all, people need to understand the actual structure of power in the Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic world. They must then separate the monarchy from British, Australian patriotism. They must understand that the two are not the same. They must ignore the monarchy. They must defy what is told to them by the useful idiots in Parliament and in the media. They must preserve British culture and ensure that the monarchy, or the element of the monarchy in British culture, is firmly removed. Once the masses in the Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic world accomplish that, then you will see a reaction from the monarchy. The problem at the moment, Mike, is that whilst a lot of people in Australia and Britain have started to ask profound questions about the monarchy, they do not take it further. They do not separate the monarchy from patriotism in Australia or in Britain. So at the moment, the British monarchy is getting away with a lot of things which it should not get away with. So that is the task before us. We must be extremely proud of our Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic identity and our history. But the royal family, or the monarchy, is not a part of that.
Look, just hang fire for about 2 minutes. We're going to a quick commercial break. I find this absolutely fascinating, and I'm being educated too in more ways than one. This is The World Today.
Emma, did you hear?
Todd's in the hospital.
Who's Todd? He got a collapsed lung from vaping. He thought it was cool.
Not cool.
Promise you won't vape, Emma. It can lead to a lifelong addiction, and we can't be friends if your lungs collapse.
Bogus.
Wacky sitcom teens aren't the best people to talk to your kid about vaping.
Hey, you got a minute?
You are. Start the conversation with your child about vaping today.
A lot of my friends told me that I wasn't going to be able to do it. You don't need to start out with a teenager because they've had all these things that they've gone through.
Could we give him the things he needed to be a successful adult?
What parent isn't worried about, what am I not doing right? What am I not doing enough?
That's my son.
My dad showcased a sense of love that I never had before.
I had a rough time, but I saw that even though the way I was acting, they didn't push me away.
She says that we're her heroes, but she's also mine.
I've had 3 other mother figures in my life, but only one of them has taught me how a mother loves.
How you guys raised me is absolutely amazing. And I really, really appreciate that.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org.
If you don't have a smoke alarm in your bedroom, by the time a fire burns through your door to activate your smoke alarm, it will be too late. Install smoke alarms in your bedrooms today.
If you missed your favorite show or interview, visit episodes on our website at theworldtoday.news. Our live shows are also on X, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and Twitch. Now there really is no reason to miss out on anything on theworldtoday.news.
Makers are facing more travel.
When we're on the go, it's easy to go into our own world. Keep your mind on the road.
Our beautiful world is changing, withering, dying by the hands of those who don't value nature, even though we all depend on it for life itself. But there is hope. Together with caring friends, the Nature Conservancy can restore our lands, heal our waters, and save our wildlife with big solutions only nature can provide. But every day we lose more of the places we love, and we urgently need to save endangered lands, waters, and wild species. The actions we take today will determine the tomorrow we leave to our children and grandchildren. the water they drink, the air they breathe, the beauty they experience. To learn more about how you can help protect and conserve our beautiful world, visit nature.org today.
Asthma is a growing problem, especially among children. Asthma affects the quality of life for millions like me every single day. My name is Chris Draft, and I have asthma. And I've spent more than a decade in the NFL tackling asthma on and off the field. Join me in the EPA in helping people control their asthma. Asthma is a lung condition that can be controlled through medication and by avoiding things that can make it worse. 3 steps are the solution to controlling asthma. Step 1, talk to a doctor. Step 2, make a plan. And step 3, get rid of things that can make it worse. Asthma can be tackled. For more information on asthma, log on to epa.gov/asthma.
It's early evening in Lochgelly, and as many as 100 young people gathered in the park. Some of the local residents see the young people as a problem, and while many people simply avoid the park on Friday evening, the Salvation Army has been taking a different approach.
Some young people are out on the street because they don't feel safe at home, or they may have parents that are working all the time and they're home alone a lot.
Hello, how are you? Good.
We see so many young people in crisis. We see so many young people turn into alcohol and drugs, and it's because there's not enough support.
We come and shower today for something to do with our friends.
They like to have a laugh, they like to joke around.
Are you okay? Be careful.
And the conversations that we have surrounding school and family, alcohol, drug use, can then go on to, okay, so how can we support you?
Throughout the UK and Ireland, the Salvation Army has been recruiting and training detached youth workers. But youth workers and the resources they need are scarce. Local authority funding has been drastically cut in recent decades, and spending on young people's services is only a quarter of what it was at its peak. All this shows the importance of the Salvation Army's work.
She won't tell anyone because she'll forget in like 2 seconds.
Our aims are to build relationships, to get to know young people, to be a constant in their lives, to be a safe adult, because not all young people have a safe adult.
It's not what we're here for, it's actually...
So if we can be that constant in their lives, during the ups, during the downs of their lives, that's a major thing.
Telling it as it is. Today's News Talk. The World Today.
My guest is Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos, talking about the monarchy, or the monarch. Was it monarch or monarchy?
Well, it depends the context in which you're talking. If, of course, you're talking about the individual, it's a monarch. If you're talking about the system which, in reality, rules the United Kingdom and, of course, your country, Australia, we are talking about the monarchy.
It's a pity sometimes that we have to talk about them, they're always open to a lot of I won't say scuttlebutt, but there's a lot of conspiracy theories around. A very dear friend of ours here, we're talking to this person, in fact today, and they were saying that this person was convinced that King Charles was in fact a secret Muslim, and I found that quite interesting to think that he would be a secret Muslim. Just to put, and even though there is conspiracy theories around that say yes, he's really a Muslim masquerading as the head of the Church of England, really, I think that is scuttlebutt, and I think that King Charles is not a Muslim. Now, would you like just to add your 2 bobs worth, Marcus?
I completely agree with what you've just said, Mike. It's absolute nonsense. Whether Charles is a true Christian is the more important question. But other than that, it's absolutely preposterous nonsense.
But it is floating around, though, isn't it? You most likely would have seen something, but I have seen some just people who are quite, and they're not stupid people, but they're convinced that he's a secret Muslim, He became a Muslim some years ago. Anyway, maybe we could hope for the best, and he does become one and abdicates. That would be excellent. Do you think the government should, do you think the king and all the king's men that are princes and stuff like that, do you think they should be a little more involved in government at the moment by saying to the government, you need to take heed of your people, because at the moment you are not, and we are heading down a pretty poor path?
Well, according to the official narrative in the United Kingdom, Britain is a constitutional monarchy. Thus, the monarch plays no role in the day-to-day running of the country. The monarch has no say over policies which are implemented in the United Kingdom. So for people to put forward the argument that the monarch should, quote, intervene, reflects ignorance, I'm afraid to say. But as I have long said, constitutional monarchy is an illusion. Hundreds of years ago, are we really going to believe that when the concept of constitutional monarchy was implemented in Britain, the then monarch willingly gave up power? When has a monarch throughout human history willingly given up power for the sake of democracy? Indeed, when does any leader give up power willingly? They don't. That is a reflection of human nature. The reality is that in Britain, and it says so in the British passport, we are, quote, subjects, not citizens, subjects of the monarch. That is a very important word, and a word which has long been looked over by British people. A subject. A subject is completely different to a citizen. A subject means, in essence, we are the mere property of the crown, the mere property of the monarch. Have a look in the French passport, or in the German passport, or in the American passport, for example. American citizens, French citizens, and German citizens will not be referred to as, quote, subjects. Presumably, Mike, in the Australian passport, Australians are also referred to as, quote, subjects of the monarch.
Yeah, it's a we don't really. I mean, I don't really think about that sort of stuff. I mean, it's I have trouble controlling my own self, and to think that I'm a subject of the monarch. You know, and of course we have in Australia we have the Queen's Counsellors. They become King's Counsel, and so our whole legal system is based on the monarchy. However, having said that, is there a case, and again I go back to what I was asking before, is there a way of, or is it time that even though that we have King Charles, and many say he's a figurehead, he's a very powerful figurehead, a very rich figurehead, and I'm just thinking, is it time that we even do away with that figurehead? Because whatever Charlie says, being the king, people take notice, and he is a globalist. He believes in some pretty strange beliefs, and if you were to, as you mentioned, to be a subject to a dimwit, I think it's the height of all insults, and I think it's basically it's time for your figurehead maybe to take a left turn and go somewhere else, because you don't have that in the US. You don't have that in most countries. So what I'm probably asking you is it time to dismantle the Commonwealth?
Ian Smith, the the former leader of Rhodesia, which of course today is Zimbabwe, came to understand the reality not just of the British state, not just of the British monarchy. He also came to the realization that the Commonwealth is a scam. The Commonwealth has long projected itself as a beacon of democracy. But as Ian Smith said, very large numbers of countries in the Commonwealth are dictatorships. So he referred to various Commonwealth members in Africa, which are military juntas. And yet they all come together and they project themselves as democracies, as free countries. As Ian Smith said, as a lot of people are now saying, the Commonwealth is anything but an association of democratic countries. It simply is a scam. So the Commonwealth, yes, in my opinion, should not have a future because it does not relate to the needs of the ordinary people in the countries which are members of it. The monarchy has only loyalty to itself. So when Childs talks about multiculturalism, when he talks about Islam, he does not have truly affection for either of those things. The monarch has only loyalty to the House of Windsor, and the preservation of the House of Windsor is the key responsibility, the cardinal responsibility of the monarch and the rest of the royal family. So people must ask serious questions. They must start to distance themselves from the monarchy. You can be a patriot, you can be a nationalist in Britain, in Australia or New Zealand without having any affection, without having any time for the monarchy. Because, as I said, what flags are draped on their coffins when they die? Not the Union flag, rather the royal standard. Where in our passports does it say that we are citizens? We are citizens, not subjects. Again, I know I am reiterating this, but the word subject is so profound that people must investigate it for themselves. Also, the oath of allegiance. An oath of allegiance in our world, Mike, the Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Celtic world, is sworn to an individual. An individual. We can condemn, and rightly so, during the Nazi period in Germany, members of the German armed forces for swearing an oath of allegiance to Hitler, an individual. Utterly, utterly wrong. An oath of allegiance should be to the country, to the people. Yet in our world, Mike, the oath of allegiance is sworn to an individual. Therefore, that oath of allegiance does not extend to the people or to the country. It solely focuses on the individual. That is extremely frightening.
It is. It's very frightening indeed. We have run out of time. I apologise. We're going to do some more. We'll keep this conversation going, I think, because it's so important. So stand by for Jen to get hold of you, because we will continue. Your final thoughts, just if you wouldn't mind, in brief. What would replace the monarchy?
Britain, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada would become a republic, where the head of state is democratically elected, where the head of state serves the citizens, not subjects, the citizens, where our politicians, our civil servants, our police officers, and our members of the armed forces swear an oath of allegiance to the country, to the people, or, as is the case in America, to a constitution. We do not have a constitution in Britain or in Australia. Indeed, you cannot have a constitution in a kingdom. Again, that word kingdom is extremely important. So that is what would replace a monarchy, a republic, which is democratically elected and which serves the people, and where the people are not referred to as subjects, they are referred to as what they are, citizens.
Very strong, Marcus. Thank you. If somebody wants to find out more about what you do, how do they do that?
I am on Facebook, I am on X, I am on YouTube, I am on Rumble, and I am on Odyssey. And if people have an interest in contemporary Russian politics, if they have an interest in Soviet history, in Imperial Russian history, I have written 2 books, both of which can be purchased on Amazon or directly from myself.
Absolutely fantastic. We know what you're on, but we don't know what King Charles is on. Sorry, I had to throw that part in. Dr. Marcus Papadopoulos, historian, analyst and author. Thank you very much. This is The World Today.